What's your favorite scary movie?
Not this one. I'll be right back. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mike's Movie Room, and in today's video, we are reviewing Scream 7. Honestly, guys, this franchise should have died with Wes Craven. But let's get into it. So as you guys probably know, this movie is directed by Kevin Williamson, which he is the writer for Scream 1, 2, and Part 4, which are some of my favorites in the franchise. So it's pretty exciting to see him coming back, but it's pretty interesting that this is his first time directing a Scream film. I know a lot of people are saying that he's directing and back writing, but from what I understand, somebody else wrote the script. And then when they had to do the $500,000 rewrites because they fired their lead characters, that's, I think, when Kevin Williamson came in, and I don't really know what he put into this movie, but honestly, I'm pretty disappointed. And just a heads up before we get any further, this is going to be a spoiler-free video, so anybody who hasn't seen this movie, don't worry about any spoilers here. Alrighty guys, so the positives for this movie. It was cool seeing Sidney Prescott come back, because honestly, Part 5 and 6, I didn't really care for, the characters in that movie all too much. I didn't really like the whole Billy Loomis angle with him having a daughter and trying to turn her bad and stuff. I just didn't really find that all too interesting, so I didn't really care for Part 5. I actually really enjoyed Part 6 until the end. The end kind of ruined the movie for me, and that's kind of how this is a little bit. But yeah, I was excited for seeing Sidney Prescott come back, and I was kind of thinking that this could possibly be another soft reboot where you could watch 1, 2, 3, Part 4, and then go directly to Part 7, like the whole Sidney Prescott story, but they still have characters from Part 5 and 6 that show up, which those were my favorite characters from the newer movies, so it was cool seeing them come back. We'll get to them more in the negatives or the mixed column, but they didn't really have that much to do. The opening sequence is pretty badass. It's definitely up there in my favorite Scream openings. I mean, it was actually really cool. I did not expect to really like this movie that much. And then when I saw the opening, I was like, okay, this actually might be a really good movie, because I was getting kind of tired of the Scream movies. I didn't really like the last two, and the ending of Part 6 really just rubbed me the wrong way. So after hearing everything going on with this movie, I did not go in with much expectation, to be completely honest. And after the opening, I was pretty excited to see where this was going. The kills in this movie, they're pretty fucking good. They're pretty gnarly. There's some good carnage candy in this movie. It does suck that some of it's CGI, and you can definitely tell, but it's definitely cool how they ramped the kills up in this movie. I know a lot of people said Part 6 did that, but Part 7, this movie is pretty gnarly. It's also really cool how they film Ghostface. There's certain scenes that kind of mimic Halloween, where it's dark and then you see his mask slowly illuminate in the background. It's really cool seeing that, because we never really get to see stuff like that in the Scream movies, so it was really cool seeing them kind of add new stuff to it. I thought the storyline with Sydney and her oldest daughter, Tatum, was pretty good. I mean, I was pretty invested. I actually really enjoyed this movie. There were some nitpicks I had with it, which I don't know if I can get too much into it because of spoilers, but there were problems that I had with this movie while watching it, but I was willing to kind of sweep that under the rug or let that go, because I was like, this is actually still a pretty enjoyable movie. I like this way more than Part 5 and Part 6. It didn't stay that way, though, and that's because of the third act, but we'll get there. So yeah, that's really it for the positives. Moving on to the mixed. And I don't really know how to explain this other than Scream 1 through Part 4 felt like actual Scream movies, and it felt like Part 4 was a good ending to the series, to the Sidney Prescott story, just to the Scream franchise in general. Part 5, 6, and 7, to be honest, really don't feel like Scream movies. They feel more like parodies of the Scream movies. They feel like the Stab movies. The best way to describe it is at the beginning of Scream 4, when they're watching the Stab movies, and I think they're actually watching Stab 7, if I'm not mistaken. One of them's kind of complaining about how the movies are all the same, and one of the friends is actually explaining that the movies are based on the Woodsboro Massacre murders, and they're based on true stories, or at least the first few, and then the rest are just kind of made up stories, because Sidney Prescott was going to press charges or sue the production company, something like that. So they were saying how the first 4 were really good, and then the rest were just kind of I don't know, throwaway slasher movies. And that's what these movies are kind of starting to feel like. Scream is now becoming what it would always make fun of. And that might work for some people, and if it does, like, I'm happy for you. I'm happy you enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the movie, but the ending ruined it for me. We will get to that in just a minute. But yeah, like I said, these movies just don't have that Scream feeling, and I don't know if it's because Wes Craven isn't here. I think Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson together are the glue of Scream, and they're the ones that kind of like make a perfect Scream movie. And I think the last perfect Scream movie, I mean, it wasn't perfect, it had issues, but Scream 4 was the last movie where it actually felt like a Scream movie, like the characters coming back, and it felt like the essence of Scream. These other ones just feel like Scream knockoffs is the best way to describe it, man. And there were certain instances in this movie where and I'm not trying to spoil anything, but with how much security Sidney Prescott actually has because of all the shit that she's been through, there was like one scene where it was like, okay, Ghostface, how did you get in there? How did you bypass all of this shit? And did nobody think to go check there? I mean, there was just things that happened in this movie that didn't make sense. Like, this isn't really a spoiler. It's in the trailer, but there's a scene where they're hiding in a panic room, and then they leave the panic room to go in between the walls to try and go and check on somebody, the dad or something, and that's like the thing you see in the trailer where Ghostface is stabbing through the walls. You were in a safe spot where he couldn't have gotten to you, and then you guys decided to take yourself out of that safe place and put yourself in a dangerous position, just for an intense situation in the movie. Also, in the third act, there's nobody around in the streets, and Ghostface is like running around in the streets. There's all this like crazy shit kind of happening. This girl's running around and screaming, and nobody's coming out. I get there's a curfew, but there's no police. There's nobody around, nobody calling the police. There's absolutely nothing. So I get they're trying to make an intense scene, and I'm not trying to fucking bash a movie, but I get you're supposed to suspend your belief in movies, but it gets to a point where it's just like, okay, come on, this is like over the top, and this is taking me out of it versus pulling me into it. And then, like I said, some of the returning characters, mainly Gail, she really did not do much in this movie, and there's not really a point of her being around other than just keeping legacy characters alive just for the fuck of it. I mean, she wasn't really in the first half of the movie, if I remember correctly. The way she shows up was badass. It was awesome. Like, the whole crowd cheered, but then she doesn't really do much the rest of the movie. Like, these people come in and then they're gone for large segments of the movie. When you finally think that Gail and Sydney are going to team together, and they kind of do a little bit, then Sydney kind of just runs off without her, and she doesn't show up till the end of the movie again. Gail's not in the third act. She's just kind of like in the movie to just pop up in the movie, like a lot of other characters that I'm about to talk about in the negatives. All right, guys, and then moving on to the negatives before I get to the actual reveal, which is like the biggest fucking thing for me, it would be this movie's filled with nostalgia bait. Like, there is nostalgia bait all throughout this movie. Right after the opening sequence, which, like I said, it was awesome. It had me really excited to see this movie. That's where it kind of started to make me a little nervous, because right after that, it is a complete recreation of Scream 1 when Billy climbs through Sydney's window, except it's happening with Sydney's daughter Tatum. And they're literally saying the same shit, except in the original Scream, Billy's talking about how he was watching The Exorcist, and then in Scream 7, the boyfriend's talking about how he was watching Stab, which I was just like getting nervous, like, oh man, are they just going to be putting all this nostalgia shit in this movie? They're playing Don't Fear the Reaper during that scene, and there's just a whole lot of shit like that in this movie. Tatum finding Sydney's jacket from part 2 that she wore in the third act of part 2, and then wanting to wear it. Like, nothing really comes out of it. It's just like, oh, remember this from this movie that was in this part? Here you go. And I don't know. I don't like shit like that. Some people may like shit like that, like an Alien Romulus, which I really love that movie, but the whole get away from her, you bitch. Like, I didn't like that. I didn't care for that. I know some people cheered. Some people really loved that part, but that type of nostalgia shit don't get to me. I'm going to try and explain this without getting too deep into it. This movie utilizes AI to bring back a few different characters that have died in the past Scream movies, which, if utilized correctly, it would have been cool, but they brought back the actors the age they are now, and they're on like the AI screen, and it just feels weird. It doesn't feel justified. It's like, if you're going to use AI, why don't you de-age them to make them still look like how they looked? when they actually died, because it makes no sense showing them, 20 years older when they're fucking dead. It just makes no sense. And the AI angle was kind of like a cop-out to kind of be like, okay, everybody's been asking, for these characters to come back, so let's throw them back in here, and they're not really back, but hey, they're back with AI. I didn't like that, and they could have done it different ways to make it better and make it actually less gimmicky, but how they pulled it off and how they executed it, it just wasn't that good. And there was like certain things where I was just like, oh Jesus, you're not doing this. Like it just wasn't good. Some of the acting was extremely dodgy. I don't know if it was the script or what, but some of the acting was just not up to par with the Scream movies I'm used to. This movie was kind of all over the place in certain aspects. You could definitely tell that it had rewrites to it, because like certain things happen and then we never get back to it. So it like makes no sense. And it's like, so what? Before the rewrites happened, was this going to be some big thing? Like it's not a spoiler, it's in the trailer, but when Stu's house gets burnt down, and that's at the beginning of the movie, you think that something's going to happen with that. That's going to play back into the motives of the killers. It's going to have something to do with something. And no, it's just in the movie because, oh, we're back at Stu's house and we're burning it down because this Ghostface is going to be burning everything down. This time it's different. We've heard that the last fucking 3 movies. This time it's different. This time it's different. And then my biggest complaint with this movie is the killer reveal. If the killer reveal was actually good or even decent, this movie would have been fucking awesome to me. The rest of this shit that bothered me, it wouldn't have been that bad, and this still would have been an enjoyable movie for me if it wasn't for the ending. The killer reveal was absolutely horrible. And honestly, it's starting to become a reoccurring theme with the Scream movies. The last good killer reveal was Part 5. Even though I felt like it was a little obvious, or at least one of the killers in Part 5, it was still a good reveal, and the motives were still pretty believable. Part 6 was the worst reveal for a Scream movie I have ever seen until this movie. The killer reveal in Scream 7 was stupid. It made absolutely no sense. It wasn't cool. It wasn't smart. Like, oh, you got me. I think maybe 20 minutes into this movie, I was like, this person might be the killer, and if it is, I'm going to be pissed off, because just the red flags pointing at, hey, it's this person, it's this person. Like, there's like red herrings in this movie that just don't work. I mean, maybe other people weren't able to tell who the killer/killers were, but this reveal was not good to me at all. It completely took me out of it. I even heard people in the theater kind of go, what? And like some people still really enjoyed it, like my girlfriend really loved the movie. This was like her favorite Scream movie. She thought the reveal was dumb, but it didn't ruin the movie for her. And if that is your experience as well, I'm glad it didn't ruin the movie for you. But for me, it brought me down. I think it was because I was enjoying the movie so much, and I was excited to see what the reveal was going to be, and what they chose was just... it was crazy. With rewrites that they had to do, I'm surprised nobody read this script and was like, hey, let's redo this ending. There's like 5 other endings that would have been better and I would have preferred to this. Like, I'm not excited for Scream 8 at all, to be completely honest. If this is the last one, I don't care. I really enjoyed this movie. I had issues with it, and then the ending completely sunk the ship for me. I'm talking Titanic. After Scream 6, I was like, there's no way an ending could be worse than this. And then Scream 7 was like, buckle your seatbelt, buddy, because I'm about to piss you off. It's tough being so excited for a new movie, for a franchise you thoroughly enjoy. I'm a huge Scream fan. I love most of them. I mean, I did not really like the ending of Part 6, but they're all movies that I can go back and watch for the most part. So it really sucks being excited for Scream 7, hearing about some of the things that they're doing. The whole thing about, is Stu Macher alive? Just being excited to check out this movie. Sidney Prescott's back. And just for them to do the ending how they did, it killed me, man. It literally killed me. I didn't even want to come home and film the review that night. I had to sit and think about this movie for a few days before filming the review. And it honestly bummed me out, man. It really sucks enjoying a movie and letting the ending just completely slaughter your experience. So honestly, guys, final thoughts for Scream 7. I'm deciding between a 2.5 and a 3 out of 5 stars. It's hard because I really enjoyed the movie. The Carnage Candy was awesome. I thought how they utilized Ghostface was pretty cool in this movie. But also the ending. Man, that ending made all the other issues with this movie stand out like a sore thumb. That's why it's so hard, man. Before I saw the ending, I was in theaters thinking, dude, this is up there and probably one of my favorite Scream movies. I could probably give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And now I'm sitting here thinking about either a 2.5 or a 3. And honestly, guys, fuck it. I'm just going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's a decent Scream movie. If you guys liked 5 and 6, especially if you liked 6 and 6 really didn't bother you, especially the ending, you might have a great time with part 7. Most fans are probably going to have a really good time with this movie until the ending. And then some people, from what I've seen, they don't really like the movie at all because of all the stupid choices and shit that were in this movie. But all of that stuff I can forget about and let go and still enjoy the movie until that ending came into play. That ending ruined it for me. Did not enjoy it. I know I'm ranting at this point, but Scream 8 better be canceled, or they better come with a super amazing, tight story where the ending is actually going to be as good as the rest of the movie, because these reveals are just getting schlocky at this point, man. And then even after the reveal, it gets even more cartoony and wacky. It pulled me out of it. But anyways, guys, that's my thoughts for Scream 7. Definitely drop a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this movie. Let me know what you thought about the ending and the killer reveal, if you thought it was good, if you thought it was bad. And let me know your rankings on how bad of a reveal this actually was. But yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this movie and how it can differ from mine, if you guys actually enjoyed this movie, if you guys thought it was unnecessary. Also, let me know if you guys feel like this doesn't really feel like a Scream movie and more like a parody. Love to hear from you guys. Love to chat it up with you guys. So definitely drop a comment down below and let me know. If you guys like content like this and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, Mike's Movie Room, I'm out of here. Peace.